I'm Adam. And I'm Sugar. And this is Where There's a Williams, There's a Way. Hey, Sugar, guess what I bought for my class? A giant ice cube? No, silly, paintbrushes. Oh, those fluffy ice sticks humans use to make a mess. They're for painting, not making a mess. Sounds suspiciously like making a mess to me. Well, the kids use them to create art. You know, like drawing polar bears. Polar bears on paper? Are they eating ice? Maybe, but they use different colors. What's your favorite color? Ice color. That's not a color. Sure it is. It's clear, cool, and makes everything better. How about blue? It's like ice. Blue is nice, but can I paint with an actual ice cube? It'll melt. Perfect. Less mess for you. You're a genius. Maybe we should have an ice painting day. Finally, someone who understands my art. I'll bring the ice. And I'll bring the towels. Today's book is a tender, vibrant story of love passed on through the generations. Let's get started. Dadaji's Paintbrush by Rashmi Sirdeshpande and Ruchi Mhasane. Once, in a tiny village in India, there was a boy who loved to paint. He lived with his grandfather in an old house full of paintings. First, the boy painted with his fingers. He printed with marigolds, betel leaves, and coconut shells. As he got bigger, he painted with brushes made of sticks. They had strips of cloth, reeds, or jasmine flowers wrapped around the ends. The village children would peep through the windows to watch them paint. Sometimes the boy's grandfather would invite them to join in. The boy and his grandfather did everything together. They grew bananas, pineapples, and jackfruit and sold them in the local market. Shared sticky, juicy mangoes with the village children and made paper boats for them to float down the street in the monsoon rain. They read books and picked out what they'd paint the next day. When the rains had gone, every night they would be on their rooftop beds and watch the stars until they fell asleep. They didn't have much, but they had each other. "Don't ever leave me," the boy would say. "I won't," his grandfather would reply, holding the boy so tight that his bones would hurt. But one day, he did. I remember losing my grandpa. Yeah, losing a grandparent is really tough. He was my hero. Always had the best stories about the Arctic. Did he have a lot of grandpolar wisdom? Oh, tons. He always told me, life's like a snowball. Keep rolling and you'll get bigger. That's some solid advice. My grandpa used to say, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Wise words. My grandpa also used to say, don't eat yellow snow. Well, that's definitely useful advice in the Arctic. Or anywhere else. I'm sure he's watching over you, making sure you're rolling that snowball just right. Thanks, Adam. Talking about him makes me feel better. All that was left of his grandfather was the old house full of paintings. Soon after, the boy stood at his desk. He noticed a little box wrapped in string with a note that read, "From Dadaji with love." Inside was his grandfather's best paintbrush. At first, the boy didn't touch it. He couldn't. He wouldn't. When he tried to look at it, his chest ached. So one day, he put it up on a shelf so high he had to get up on his toes to reach it. Days and months passed by. Seasons changed. The boy forgot all about the box, or at least he tried to. But mangoes didn't taste the same anymore. At night, the stars didn't sparkle the way they used to. When the rains arrived again, there was no one to make paper boats with. The village children didn't visit anymore either. The house felt empty, like the hole in the boy's heart where his grandfather used to be, where all the colors used to be. Finally, the boy took all the paintings and locked them away. In time, the paints dried up and the box and the paintings gathered dust. But then, one day, a small girl turned up at the boy's door. She held a stick with reeds wrapped around the end. "Please teach me how to paint," she said, "like your Dadaji taught my mummy." The boy shook his head, but the girl wouldn't leave. "Oh, please," she said. Do you remember a time when you taught a kid how to do something? Oh, for sure. I taught the little girl next door how to make the perfect snowball. How do you do it? First, you need some nice, fluffy snow. It has to be just right. What if we don't have snow here? Well, that's a good point. Let's pretend we have snow for now. Imagine the snow is soft and packable. Now cup your hands and scoop some up. Then you gently press it together, not too hard, or it'll break apart. Okay, now you have a snowball. Remember, the key is to have fun and never throw it at your teacher. Well, that's great advice. We could pretend to throw it, though. Looks like we've got a snowball fight brewing. Less messy that way. So we mixed up some paints and found her a fresh sheet of paper. The girl plunged her brush into the paints and dotted the page with bright blue and green splodges. Then she stopped and frowned. "It's no good," she said. "This was a bad idea. I can't do it." She was about to give up when the boy said, "Wait." There was always a way. He looked closely at the page. Then he remembered. Then he smiled. The boy unlocked the door at the back of the house and showed the girl his grandfather's paintings. If they looked closely, in the background of every painting, they could see little splodges of paint, sometimes made with fingers, sometimes with brushes made of sticks, reeds, and flowers. Together, the boy and his grandfather had turned every one of them into something wonderful. All it took was some time and attention. And so the boy reached for the box, took out his grandfather's paintbrush, and started to paint. The girl watched and copied. They painted together every day, and as time passed by, the house was filled with color again. The boy has been painting ever since. Sometimes the village children peep through the window to watch. Sometimes they paint, they laugh, and the boy makes paper boats for them to float away down the street in the monsoon rain. He knows in his heart that his grandfather will always be with him. I've been in a bit of a slump lately. I lost my favorite ice chunk yesterday. It was the best one, crystal clear and perfectly frosty. I'm sorry to hear that. Losing something you love is tough. Have you tried doing something you enjoy to feel better? Like what? I love ice and now it's gone. Well, how about making a new ice chunk? Create a masterpiece? I never thought about that. Maybe I could carve an ice sculpture of a fish. There you go. And while you're at it, I'll get my class to make some paper snowflakes for you. We can have an ice party. An ice party? That sounds amazing. Can we have ice cream too? Yeah. It'll be the coolest party ever. Thanks, Adam. You're a chill friend. I think I'm starting to feel a bit better already. Anytime, sugar. And if you want to be a chill friend, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'm Adam. And I'm Sugar. And this is Where There's a Williams, There's a Way. Author's note. This story is a blend of so many different things, but at its heart, it's inspired by my love for my grandfather and his love for me. He didn't talk about it. He didn't have to. Whenever it was time for me to go back to England after visiting him in Goa, India, he would hold me so tight that my bones hurt. You might remember that line in the book. That's him. He isn't around anymore, but that feeling that the people you love will always, always be with you, that's just how I feel. The rest of the story is based on my father. He's not a painter, but he loves the arts, and he's a kind, generous soul who gives so much to the community. The book is based on his childhood in Goa, and to some extent mine too. Not the painting, but the paper boats, the fruits, the market, and the monsoon rain. It just so happens that Ruchi is from a similar part of India, and so the stunning setting in her artwork is just like our home in Goa, right down to the veranda, the rooftops, and all the beautiful greenery. Can you imagine how amazing it was to first see those pictures and realize that, although we never once discussed it, Ruchi had painted everything that was inside my heart? How does that even happen? There's so much in this book that I believe in. I believe that there are no mistakes in art and that every single one of us should feel free to play and create. I believe little things bring so much happiness, like sharing juicy mangoes or a story or watching the stars. And I believe love is something that lives on forever and ever. I've put all these things inside this little story, and Ruchi has brought it to life in a way I could never have imagined. I love what we have created and hope you will too. Did you know? Early paintbrushes were also made from sticks, palm leaves, and wood shavings.